Okay, so we're going to use your J hook or 6mm crochet hook, and we're going to start with the white yarn. I'm going to do a magic circle. Go ahead and drape the yarn across your 4 fingers and stabilize with your thumb, and then just wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers and then hold in place with your pinky and your thumb. Then take your crochet hook and just go under those 2 loops around the middle fingers and then bring up a loop, and then yarn over. Turn the hook upside down and go through that loop for a slip knot. And then we're going to do 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So you're going to bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, and then go through both of those loops for 1 single crochet, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you're going to take your forefinger and thumb, just hold at the base of those 6 single crochet, and then you have the two yarn ends on the opposite side of the magic circle, and just pull on one of those to close it. And then take the other loose yarn end and pull on that. And now you're going to do 2 single crochet into every stitch around. So in that first stitch, you're going to do 2 single crochet in the same stitch, 1 and 2. And then go ahead and do 2 single crochet into every stitch around for a total of 12, and then come back. Okay, so you should have finished your 12 single crochet around the magic circle. So now just turn your work over and just pull on that loose yarn end just to close the circle completely. And then go ahead and get a yarn marker. I'm just going to use a scrap yarn that I have. And now we're going to do an increase round. So you're going to do 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the second stitch. 1 and 2. So go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker and then come back. Okay, so go ahead and take your yarn marker and move it up to where you left off. And now you're going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch around, and you're going to do that for 3 rows and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so you should have finished 3 rows, 1, 2, 3. Now go ahead and take your yarn marker and move it up. And actually I think I did one too many. And then just put your yarn marker up to where you left off. And now we're going to do 4 decreases, or we're going to sew 2 together or make a decrease basically. So you're going to go into the next stitch, you're going to bring up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop. Now you have 3 loops on the hook. You're going to yarn over and go through all 3 for a decrease. Then you're going to go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, next stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through both for your second decrease, third decrease, and your fourth decrease. Now you're going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch back to the yarn marker and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so now we're going to join our second color. So you're going to go into your next stitch and pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to take your new color and you're just going to hook it and bring it through both loops. Then you're going to chain 1. And then you're going to turn your work and then just tie a knot. And now we're going to do a stripe with our new color, and we're going to carry the white yarn as we go. So I'm just going to grab the right yarn. Let me put my loose yarn into the center. Okay, so I'm going to carry the white yarn and I'm going to crochet with the new color. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch around back to the yarn marker, and at the same time I'm carrying the white yarn with me so I can switch back to that color. So go ahead and do 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around back to the yarn marker and then come back. Okay, so go ahead and take your yarn marker and move it up to where you just left off. And now you're going to be switching back to the white color. And just going to pull the second color a little bit tighter. And then go ahead and bring up your loop to do a single crochet. And now you're going to do 4 rows of 1 single crochet into every stitch, and then you're going to alternate your stripes like you did for the leg. So do that 1 single crochet into every stitch for 4 rows, alternating colors as appropriate for your stripes, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so I finished my 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to switch back to the white color, and I'm just going to bring up my yarn marker. Just place it where you left off. And now we're going to do 1 single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So I'm going to go into the next stitch, bring up a loop. I'm changing colors back to the white. So I have 1 single crochet, and then in the second stitch 1 single crochet, and then in the third stitch 1 single crochet, and the whole time I'm carrying the alternate colored yarn with me. And then in the fourth stitch I'm going to do 2 single crochet in the same stitch, 1 and 2. So you're going to repeat that pattern, 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches and then 2 single crochet in the fourth stitch all the way around back to the yarn marker. Okay, so I have 2 stitches left before I get back to my yarn marker, so I'm just going to do 1 single crochet into each of those stitches. And I'm going to move my yarn marker up to where I left off. And I'm still going to crochet with the white color. And now you're just going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch around. So go ahead and do 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around back to the yarn marker and then come back. Okay, so now I'm going to take the yarn marker and move it up to where I left off. And I'm still using, since I'm doing 3 rows of white, I still have 1 more row left of the white color. So I'm going to stay with the white color, but I'm going to do an increase round. So in the next stitch I'm going to do 1 single crochet, and then in the second stitch I'm going to do 2 single crochet in the same stitch, and you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Okay, so I had 1 stitch left before I got to the yarn marker, so I just did a single crochet in that stitch. So now I'm going to take the yarn marker and move it up to where I left off, and I'm going to change colors. So I'm going to move the white yarn forward and start working with my second color, or my reddish orange color. And I'm going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around. So you're going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around, but you're going to do it for 2 rows. And if you're doing your stripe color, remember that your stripe color, you only want 1 row of your stripe. So just change colors where appropriate, but you need 2 rows of 1 single crochet in every stitch, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so I finished my 2 rows, and you can see where I've changed color where I needed to. And now you're just going to take your yarn marker and just move it up to where you left off. And also, since we're going to be starting our decrease rounds now, you're going to want to go ahead and stuff your foot, and then just stuff it as you go. Make sure you get it into the paw too. Okay, and then for the decrease round, you're going to do 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches, and you're also going to be carrying your alternate color with you and switching where appropriate. So in the second stitch, I'm going to do 1 single crochet, and then in the third stitch, 1 single crochet, and then you're going to do your decrease stitch. So you're going to go into the next stitch, you're going to bring up a loop, going to go into the next stitch, you're going to bring up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through all 3 for your decrease. So you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker and then come back. Okay, so now you're going to take your yarn marker and move it up to where you left off. And now we're going to do 1 single crochet. I'm still going to do my white yarn because I only have 2 rows of the white yarn. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and then I'm going to do 1 single crochet into the second stitch, and then I'm going to do a decrease stitch. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Okay, so now I'm back to the yarn marker, so I'm just going to move it up to where I left off. And now I'm going to go ahead and change colors. So I'm going to move the white yarn forward. And then I'm just going to start working with my other color. And now I'm just going to do we're going to do a decrease round again. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch. And then I'm going to do a decrease. So I'm going to go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and go through all 3 for a decrease. And I'm going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Okay, so now you can go ahead and get rid of your yarn marker, and you're going to go ahead and move. If you're using your alternate color, you can go ahead and move that forward, and we're going to do a single crochet with the, actually we're going to do a decrease with the white colored yarn. So you're going to go into the next stitch, you're going to pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, and pull up a loop, and then you're going to yarn over and go through all 3 for a decrease, and then you're going to take and cut the second color because we don't need that anymore. So just leave enough of the second color to bury into your work, and then go ahead and tie a knot. And you can go ahead and stuff that loose yarn end into, let me go ahead and actually, let's go ahead and do another decrease. Nope, we're not going to be able to do that. If yours is like mine, I need to put a little bit more stuffing, so I'm just going to make my loop a little bit larger so I don't lose it. Oh, that's pretty good. All right, so I'm going to take some more stuffing and just put that in. Okay, make sure you have it stuffed the way that you want, and I think that's pretty good for me. So you can see this is going to be the thigh portion, and then you have the hind paw there. So now we're going to go ahead and close it. So you can stuff the loose yarn end into the area with the stuffing. as we're closing. And then you're going to go into the next stitch. You're going to pull up a loop, go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, and we're going to yarn over and go through all three for a decrease. And we're just going to do decreases until we can't decrease anymore, and then I'll show you how to slip stitch it closed. So I think we're pretty close to being, I'm going to just start doing slip stitches now. So I'm just going to go skip a stitch, go into the next stitch. I'm going to yarn over and bring the yarn through both loops on your hook for a slip stitch. And now you're just going to skip a stitch and just do that until you've closed it. You're going to slip stitch. Oh, let's see if I can grab that better. Just going to pull the yarn through both loops on your hook for a slip stitch, and you're going to do that until it's closed. And this should be my last one. So now I'm going to finish off. You just yarn over and you pull the yarn through that loop. Just pull enough to bury into your work. And then you just take the loose yarn end, put it onto your tapestry needle. Yep. And then you're just going to take and go right through the center and then just come out anywhere on your work. And then that will bury your loose yarn end nicely. And then just cut it. Okay, so you finished one hind leg. So now you just need to do one more and then come back and I'll show you how to sew them on to the tiger. Okay, so you should have finished your two hind legs, and you can see how the paws are, and then these are the thigh parts of the legs. So we're going to go ahead and sew them on. So you're going to need your tapestry needle and some white yarn, and you're just going to line up your thigh legs together with the body of the tiger. Okay, so you can see how I have mine lined up. I have the paws where they're facing up, and also the color stripe at the bottom. I have both legs lined up along that color stripe. And then you're going to pinch the body between the two legs, and you're going to take your tapestry needle with the white yarn and you're going to go into about the mid stripe, and you're going to go through to the other side with your tapestry needle. Be careful you don't poke yourself. Make sure when you go through, you want to make sure you go through about the same stripe that you went in, and then just grab your tapestry needle and make sure you pull enough yarn through, but leave enough on the other side in order to tie your knot. And then you're going to take your tapestry needle, you're going to go about a stitch up from where you went through, and you're going to go back through to the other side, and you're going to come out about a stitch over on the other side, and then just pull your tapestry needle back through. Okay, and then once you've done that, then you can kind of position the tiger better so he's not so pinched. And then once you have the tiger positioned the way you like, just take and tie a knot. And don't tie it too tight, just firm enough to cause a little dimple. And I usually tie about 3 times. And then you're going to go back through and do it one more time. Okay, so you should have the back legs sewn on now. And what you want to do now is just take your tapestry needle and you're just going to take and bury those loose yarn ends. So you just go right back into the knot area of the knot, and then just come out anywhere on the foot with your tapestry needle. And then you just cut that excess yarn. That way the knot won't come out. And then when you come back, I'll show you how to sew the hind paw to the front paw. Okay, so now you're going to get your tapestry needle and some white yarn, and we're going to, because this tiger has just a little bit of a chunkier body, because the Caron Simply Soft yarn doesn't pull as tight as the Red Heart yarn does. So because of that, what we're going to do is we're going to first take the back leg, and you'll see here there's that circle, the magic circle center. You're going to take your yarn and your tapestry needle, and you're just going to go right underneath that magic circle, just like that. And just pull your yarn through. And make sure you leave plenty of yarn for tying your knot, the loose yarn end. And then you're going to take and you're going to go a little bit higher up. So you just want to make sure, for here, I'll just show you on the black and white tiger, I went about this level when I sewed the back paw to the front paw. But because of his slightly bigger girth in his body, I'm going to go a little bit higher up on the paw with the hind leg. So you're just going to take your tapestry needle and you're just going to go on the back of the leg, and you're just going to take, and let's see, I'm just going to measure where you would like to go, and I'm going to go about right here. So I'm just going to take a stitch out of the back of the leg, and then you're just going to pull the two together and then just tie a knot, and you're going to do that on both sides. So go ahead and do that on both sides, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so this is how my tiger looks right now, but I want to make his front legs stay more in the front. So I'm going to take my tapestry needle and my sewing needle, and I'm just going to take and sew his front paws to the body, and then in the position that I want along the front. So go ahead and do that if you want to as well, and then come back and we'll see the finished product up to now. Okay, so I'm showing you how I'm going to sew his front paws onto the front. So I'm making sure that his paws are up, facing up, and then I'm going to take my tapestry needle once I have the front paws laid where I want, and I'm going to go through the paw, but out both sides with my tapestry needle, and just leave enough yarn to sew your knot, and then I'm going to go into the body and then come back on the other side with my tapestry needle. And then I'm just going to do that twice. So now I'm going to go across the body. Actually, I'm going to take a little bit of a stitch here so it doesn't show, and then I'm going to come up a little bit lower on the body with my tapestry needle. And then I'm going to go through the bottom portion of the front leg with my tapestry needle. And then I'm going to go back down into the body and then come up where my yarn end is to tie a knot. And then I'm going to do that for both sides. Okay, so now I love the way the forearms sit, and you can see how he looks all the way around, and you can kind of push him down too, you know how you want to have him sit. And I like the way his head is sitting, but I notice that sometimes, depending on the body and the forelegs, the head will hang down just a little bit. So if you wanted, you can pull back the head, and how you would do that is you would just take your tapestry needle and then you would just sew it down so that the head sits back at the level that you want. But I like the way mine looks. So now I'm just going to show you how to sew the paws on the feet, the front feet. So you're going to need your tapestry needle and some black yarn, and then I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so you're going to get your tapestry needle and some black yarn, and you're just going to take the paw, and we're going to do 3 black stripes onto the paw. So I'm going to start in the corner here, in the bottom corner, and then I'm going to go up about 2 rows. I'm going to come up with my tapestry needle, and just make sure you leave enough yarn for burying into your work. And now you're going to take your tapestry needle and go back into where you went in, and then you're going to go a stitch over. So you're going to go back down into where you came in initially, and then you're going to go a stitch over and come out with your tapestry needle. And then you're going to go down, straight down with your tapestry needle. So you're going to go straight down with your tapestry needle, and then you're going to come out about a stitch over. And see how you have 2 done. And then now you're going to go straight down again. So you're going to go straight down with the 3rd stripe, and then you're going to come out where you went in initially with your tapestry needle. And you have your paw. So now you just want to tie a knot. And then you just take your tapestry needle and you're going to go in where you went, tied your knot, and come out the back. And then just cut. Make sure you don't cut your tiger. You just cut that loose end. And then you go ahead and bury your other loose end, and then do the same thing for the other paw. And then you can do the back paws if you want to. I didn't do the back paws, I just did the front paws. And then when you come back, I'm going to show you how to make the tail. Okay, so I finished my paws, the front paws. So now we're just going to do the tail. So you're going to need your white yarn, and we're going to do a magic circle. And I'm going to use the J crochet hook, or 6mm crochet hook. And you're just going to take and drape the yarn across your 4 middle fingers, and use your thumb to stabilize, and just wrap it twice around your middle fingers, and then hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. And then just take your crochet hook and put it under the 2 loops around the middle fingers, and then you're going to bring up a loop, and then you're going to yarn over, and then go through that loop for your slip knot, and then we're going to do 6 single crochets into the magic circle. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then take your forefinger and thumb and just hold it at the base of those 6 single crochet, and then you're going to take one of the opposite yarn ends and pull on it to close the magic circle, and then take the loose yarn end and pull on that. And now you're going to do 2 single crochet into every stitch around. So you're going to go into that first stitch and do a single crochet, and then you're going to go into that same stitch and do another single crochet. So you're going to do 2 single crochet in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close the center of the magic circle. So you just turn it over and pull on that loose yarn end, and then that closes up the magic circle nicely. Then go ahead and get your loose yarn scrap for the yarn marker, or whatever you're using for your yarn marker. And now we're going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around for 2 rows, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so you should have finished your 2 rows. So now we're going to go ahead and add our second color. So just go into, actually move your yarn marker up to where you left off, and then you're going to go into the next stitch over and pull up a loop. So now you have 2 loops on your hook, and then you're going to take your second color, and then you're just going to hook your second color and bring it through those 2 loops. And then you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to turn your work over and just tie a knot. And now you're just going to do 1 single crochet into every stitch around with your second color to make the stripe. So you're going to alternate the colors between the white and red as you did for the rest of the body. And you're going to do that for 9 rows, and then come back, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so you should have finished your 9 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now we're just going to narrow the tail a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead, and since I just finished with the stripe, I'm going to go ahead and change colors on mine and just start working with the white. And I'm going to bring my yarn marker up too, so I can see where I end my decrease round. So I'm going to go into the next stitch. I'm just going to do a single crochet, and then in the next stitch I'm going to go ahead and do a decrease. So I'm going to go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, go into the next stitch, bring up a loop, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over and go through all 3 for a decrease, and then I'm going to do a single crochet in the next stitch, and a single crochet in the next stitch, and I'm just going to do 1 more decrease about halfway around. So I'm going to go ahead and do another decrease now. So I'm going to go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, then yarn over and go through all 3 for a decrease, and then I'm just going to go ahead and finish doing a single crochet into every stitch around. Every stitch back to the yarn marker. Okay, so then go ahead and take your yarn marker and move it up to where you left off. And now you're just going to continue doing 1 single crochet into every stitch around. And you're going to do that for 7 more rows. And you're going to put your stripes in the same way. So do 7 more rows doing your stripes, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so you should have finished your 7 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now we're just going to do a slip stitch. So you're going to go into the next stitch over, and then you're going to grab both yarns, and then you're going to pull both yarns through both loops on your hook. And then you're going to finish off, so you're going to yarn over with both yarns and then just pull both yarns through the loops on your hook and pull enough to bury into your work. And then go ahead and cut those. And then you can go ahead and stuff your tail. Okay, so this is optional, but I'm going to use some of this soft yarn for the tail and for the fluff on top of the head. So if you want to do that also, then just go ahead and grab your tapestry needle and your yarn, and then I'll show you how to do that. So for the small tuft at the top of the head, you're just going to take your tapestry needle with the soft yarn, and I'll just show you what it looks like. So here is the black and white tiger, and you can see how I put the little tuft at the top here, and I just kind of I think it's kind of cute. So I'm going to do the same thing for this tiger. So you just take your yarn on the tapestry needle, and you're going to go to where the magic circle is at the top of the tiger's head, and you're just going to go in with your tapestry needle, and you're just going to go right under that little magic circle, and then you're just going to pull the yarn through. And it might take a little bit of a tug because the yarn is a little thicker. So go ahead and pull that through and then come back and I'll show you how to tie the knot. Okay, so I've got the yarn through, and you can leave just a little bit longer because we're going to cut it down to size. So once you have it through, you can go ahead and cut the yarn and then just tie a knot. And I just tied it twice, and then I went ahead and cut it the size that I want, and I just want a little bit, about that much, and then you can fray it. So that's what's nice about this yarn, is it frays easily, and then you can kind of twist it around so that you have a little tuft, and you can cut it and trim it to the size that you want. Okay, so I already put the stuffing in the tail, and so now I'm going to do the tuft at the end of the tail. So I have that same yarn, and I'm just going to take the tip of the tail, and I'm going to start at the end with my tapestry needle and just pull the yarn through. And just leave enough yarn to how much flare you want at the end of your tail. So I'm going to leave about, see, it's about 3 inches worth. And then I'm just going to go back through a stitch over. And you may want to have a jar opener. Let me show you, to pull the tapestry needle, because it's a thicker yarn. So this is just a plastic jar opener, and sometimes that'll help grip the tapestry needle to pull through, and you can use that too if you like to help you. But I'm just going to pull through a loop about the same length as the initial yarn that I had, and I'm just going to keep going and looping through a stitch over. And this should be my last one. So I'm just going to go into the end of the tail. Just pull my loop back so it's even. And just make sure that you can trim it too, but just make sure that they're all even. And then I'm just going to take and cut the ends of the loops. And then I'm just going to tie a knot. Don't tie it too tightly because you'll pull your loops out. That last knot you can pull a little bit tighter, as long as it doesn't pull your loops through, because you don't want to lose the loops that you created. And you just keep tying the knots until they're all tied, and then come back. Okay, and then once you have finished tying all your knots, you can trim the end of the tail if you want, so it's the same length, and then you're just going to flare it. So you're just going to take the yarn and just kind of flare the tail, flare the yarn until you're happy with how it looks. And then you're just going to get your tapestry needle with the red heart white yarn, and then you're going to take the back of your tiger and you're just going to sew the tail on, and I'm putting the tail right between the two hind legs, so just sew it right where you want it on the back, and then come back and we'll see how the tiger looks. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make a bow. So the first thing we're going to do is a slip knot. So you're going to take your yarn and fold it to form a loop, and then you're going to take I'm going to use my J or 6mm crochet hook and just go into that loop, and then you just hold the base with your middle finger and thumb, and then you're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through that loop for a slip knot. And then you're going to go ahead and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you're going to take and do a slip stitch into that first chain that you created. So go back to that first chain, and then you're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through both of those loops for a slip stitch. Then you're going to go ahead and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to count as your first treble crochet. So we're going to do 4 more treble crochets into the center of the circle. So to do a treble crochet, you're going to yarn over twice. 1, 2, go into the center of that slip stitched circle you created. You're going to bring up a loop. So now you have 4 loops on your hook. So you're going to yarn over and go through 2. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and go through 2. And now you have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and go through those last 2. So now you have 2 treble crochets completed. So we're going to do 3 more. So yarn over, go into the center of the circle, bring up a loop, 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. So now I'm going to do 2 more treble crochets. And my last treble crochet. Okay, so now you're going to do a chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to slip stitch into the center of the circle where you did your treble crochets. You're going to yarn over, and then you're going to bring back through the center and bring the yarn through that loop on the hook for a slip stitch. So this is how your work is looking so far. Now you're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now you're going to do the same number, 5 treble crochets into the opposite side of the ring. So you're going to yarn over twice, go into the center of the circle, bring up a loop, and then you're going to do your treble crochet, and then you're going to do 4 more, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so you should have finished all your treble crochets. So now you're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to do a slip stitch into the center of the circle. So bring up your yarn back through the center and then through the loop on your hook for a slip stitch. And now we're going to finish off. So you're going to yarn over, and then you're going to bring a lot of yarn through because we're going to wrap it around the center of the bow. Oh, that would make a beautiful butterfly too, wouldn't it? It's pretty. So anyway, now you're going to take your yarn and you're just going to wrap it around the center to create your little bow. So just keep wrapping it around the center, and then we're going to tie a knot onto the back. Okay, so I finished wrapping around as much as I wanted to on the front, and I still have a little bit left for tying my knot onto the back. So I'm just going to go ahead and tie my knot. I'm going to try to center the knot on the back as best as I can. So you have your little bow tie. So now I'm going to show you how to do the rest of the bow tie for putting onto the tiger. Okay, so I'm still using my J crochet hook or 6mm crochet hook, and I'm still using my same colored yarn, and we're going to do a slip knot first. So you're just going to take your yarn and fold it over on itself to form a loop, and then take your crochet hook and just go through that loop, and then hold it with your middle finger and your thumb, and then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through that loop for your slip knot. So now you're going to want to chain the length of the size that you want to go around the tiger's neck. So I've already measured mine, and it's going to be a chain of 30. So you're going to go ahead and make your chain of 30. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to make a chain like this for whatever length of your tiger's neck, and I'm making a chain of 30, but when you're done, come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so I have my chain of 30 that I finished. So now I'm just going to hold that last stitch I did with my middle finger and thumb, and then I'm going to do a chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's going to count as my first double crochet for the second row. So now I'm going to do a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook, which is the stitch that I'm holding. So I'm going to yarn over, go into that stitch, bring up a loop. Now I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. So now I have 2 double crochet completed for the next row. So now I'm going to go into the next stitch. I'm going to yarn over, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. So go ahead and finish doing double crochets into every stitch all the way back across, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so this is how your work should look, and I've already done my last double crochet and my last stitch. So now I'm going to go ahead and chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the bottom of that double crochet on the end. So I'm going to go into that bottom stitch, and then I'm going to do a slip stitch. So I'm going to yarn over and go through both loops on the hook for a slip stitch, and then I'm going to finish off. So I'm going to yarn over and then just pull enough yarn to bury into my work. And then I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot to close up that last stitch. And then you can use the yarn and your tapestry needle And if you have a wide stitch there where we sewed up, you can go ahead and use your tapestry needle to close that up if you need to. Just going to tie a knot and then close that stitch. And then I can go ahead and tie another knot. And then you can just bury your loose yarn ends. And then I'll show you how to sew the bow tie on the end. Okay, so this is how my work looks so far. I've already buried my loose yarn ends. You can't see them. And here's the loop we created on the end. So just make sure that you have the right side facing that you want showing on the outside. Either way would work, whichever you prefer. And then just take your bow tie and put the long end of the yarn that's remaining to sew it onto your collar. But if you want to, if you don't have a long enough yarn on the end, then just go ahead and get some new yarn that should be the same color. And then you're just going to sew your bow tie onto the collar. So I'm just going to sew right along the sides of the center and sew it right onto the collar. So go ahead and do that and then come back and then we'll see what it looks like on the tiger. Okay, and then here's a close-up of your tiger with his bow tie on. Okay, so now you have a removable bow tie. All you do is just take and put the bow tie through the loop you created. And you have a removable bow tie. Okay, so this is Siberia. She's a crochet white tiger. I just wanted to give you a close-up look at her. So here's a side profile. And here is the back, what she looks like from the back. And her tail has soft yarn on it. And her eye, I really like how her eye turned out. And her little paws. Okay, so we're going to make a flower for our crochet tiger. And I'm starting the center of the flower with the gold yarn. So you're going to start with a magic circle. And you're just going to drape the yarn across your 4 fingers and then stabilize it with your thumb. And then just wrap it around your 2 middle fingers twice and then hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. And I'm using my G hook or 4mm crochet hook. I'm just going to go under those 2 loops. I'm going to yarn over and bring up a loop. And then I'm going to yarn over and turn my hook upside down and go through that loop for a slip knot. And now I'm going to do 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So I'm going to go under those 2 loops around the middle finger and bring up a loop. 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through both loops for a single crochet. And we're going to do 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So there's 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then just take your forefinger and thumb and hold it at the base of the 6 single crochet, and then you have the 2 loops on the opposite side. Just pull on one. If it doesn't close, you let go and pull on the other, but oops, this one's pulling, so I'm just going to close that and then take that the loose yarn in and pull on that. And then we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch. So take your crochet hook and go into that first stitch. And then you're going to yarn over and bring the yarn through both loops on your hook for a slip stitch. And now you're going to go ahead and actually we're going to go we're going to go ahead and change color. So go ahead and bring in the color of your flower, and in my case I'm using Karen's Simply Soft, and this is the lavender blue. So it's a really pretty purple color. Okay, so just take the new color and we're going to hook it with the crochet hook and then just bring it through the loop. And then you want to go ahead and chain one. So we're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through that loop for chain one. And then we're going to tie a knot onto the back. And you can go ahead and cut your gold colored yarn or whatever color you used for the center of the flower, because we're done with that color now. And then just make sure you tie a good knot onto the back. And then you're going to take your new yarn and you're going to go ahead and chain 3. So you're going to yarn over, go through your loop for 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to go ahead and do a single crochet into the next stitch over. And then you're going to chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to do a single crochet into the next stitch over. And then you're going to chain 3 again. 1, 2, 3, and then do a single crochet into the next stitch over. And you're going to do that all the way around back to the beginning, and then come back, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so this is how your work should be looking. So now, in our first chain 3 loop, we're going to go and do a single crochet into that first loop. And then you're going to do a half double crochet, so you're going to yarn over, go into that same chain 3 space, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through all 3 for a half double crochet. Then you're going to do a double crochet, so you're going to yarn over, go into the same chain 3 space, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, and then yarn over and go through 2. And then we're going to do 2 more double crochets in the same space. 1, 2, and then you're going to do a half double crochet, so yarn over, go in the same space, bring up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through all 3 for a half double crochet, and then you're going to do a single crochet, and that's going to be your petal in that one chain 3 space. And you're going to do this petal all the way around back to the beginning in each of the chain 3 spaces, and then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so this is how your work should look, and now we're going to do a slip stitch into that first stitch that we did. So just yarn over and bring the yarn through both loops on your hook for a slip stitch, and then you're going to finish off, so you're going to yarn over and go through that loop and just bring enough yarn through, because you're going to sew your flower onto your tiger. Now on the back of your tiger you may have the 2 yarn strands from the middle gold color. So what I do with that is I'm just going to tie a knot just to make it extra secure, even though I did tie a knot initially, because I'm going to cut this yarn a little shorter. So just tied it 3 times into a knot, and then I just cut it, I leave a little bit of a yarn strand so the knot stays in easier, but that way you don't see the yellow portion on the other side of the flower, and then you have your long yarn end to sew the flower onto your tiger. Okay, so now you're going to get your tapestry needle and put the yarn, long yarn in that you left for sewing onto the tapestry needle. Then you're going to place your flower onto your tiger, and then you're just going to take your tapestry needle and you want to weave back in to the back, and then you want to sew around these posts. So I'm going to come up from behind and then I'm going to sew down into the bear around the post, And then I'm going to come up on the opposite side with my tapestry needle. And I'm just going to sew around the posts. Just keep coming up around the posts. And then just sew your flower onto your bear. And here's what she looks like with her flower on. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a close-up of the two tigers. And here is Siberia. She's the black and white tiger, and you can see her stripes. And here's what she looks like from behind, and her tail. And then here is Bengal. You can see his tail, and you can also see his bow tie and what he looks like from the side and from behind.